Today I'm going to share with you some amazing benefits of creatine that most people just don't talk about. Then we're going to answer some common questions. If you're interested in healthy aging or just being healthy in general, you're going to want to hear this. Creatine is well known as a supplement for strength, muscle mass, and exercise recovery. But creatine is not just for gym bros.
Once again, I am Hans.
Yeah, I am Franz, and we are here to pop you up.
After more than 20 years of research and thousands of studies, it turns out that creatine is far more than just one of the most studied, most amazing, and most effective supplements for exercise and recovery. According to the International Society of Sports Nutrition, a growing collection of evidence supports that creatine supplementation may improve health status as individuals age. In this regard, creatine supplementation has been reported to help lower cholesterol and triglyceride levels, reduce fatty accumulation in the liver, reduce homocysteine levels, serve as an antioxidant, enhance glycemic control, slow tumor growth in some types of cancers, increase strength and/or muscle mass, minimize bone loss, improve functional capacity in patients with knee osteoarthritis and fibromyalgia, positively influence cognitive function, and, in some instances, serve as an antidepressant. If any of those benefits sound appealing to you, you may want to consider supplementing with creatine. So, creatine is awesome, and it's not just for people who go to the gym all the time. Anyone can benefit from supplementing with creatine, especially if you're middle-aged or older. Now, let's take a look at some common questions about creatine. If a supplement can do all these amazing things, if it's that powerful, is it really safe? The International Society of Sports Nutrition has a few comments about that as well. Since creatine monohydrate became a popular dietary supplement in the early 1990s, over 1,000 studies have been conducted and billions of servings of creatine have been ingested. The only consistently reported side effect from creatine supplementation that has been described in the literature has been weight gain. And you know what? That might be because most of the people who are taking creatine are trying to gain muscle mass. Available short and long-term studies in healthy and diseased populations from infants to the elderly at dosages ranging from 0.3 to 0.8 grams per kilogram per day, meaning per kilogram of body weight per day, for up to 5 years have consistently shown that creatine supplementation poses no adverse health risks and may provide a number of health and performance benefits. Of course, they're referencing the benefits that we talked about earlier. Now, I'll link to this article below, and if you read through it, you'll see they really go into a lot more detail about the safety of creatine supplementation. Hey, if you're liking today's video, please hit the like button and remember to subscribe. Thank you. So now that we know that it's safe, where can you get creatine? Well, creatine is widely available. You can find it in most health food and nutrition stores. You can probably get it at your local gym, and there are endless options online. Now, what you want to do is look for one that is manufactured with high quality standards and guaranteed for purity. So I get mine from Do Not Age, and what I really like about theirs is there's nothing else added. It's just pure creatine monohydrate. That's it. And if you want to go with them, I have a link for you down below and you can save 10%. So once we have creatine, how much should we take? Well, most experts suggest taking 3 to 5 grams of creatine per day, and some people like to take 10 grams per day. If you've never taken creatine before or you've been off it for a while, one really popular approach is to do what's called a loading phase. An example of this approach would be to take 20 to 25 grams of creatine per day, split into 4 to 5 equal doses throughout the day for 5 to 7 days. Following this loading phase, take 3 to 5 grams per day to maintain your muscle stores of creatine. Now, doing a loading phase will elevate creatine to optimum levels within about a week. If you don't want to do a loading phase, that's okay, you don't have to. Just start taking 3 to 5 grams per day and you'll reach optimum levels of creatine in about 3 to 4 weeks. Then just keep taking it after that. Either approach will get you to the same destination eventually. I personally take 5 grams per day every day in the morning with water and generally on an empty stomach. If you find that creatine gives you a little bit of gut discomfort, you can take it with food. So what about timing? When should you take creatine? Dr. Lane Norton answered that question on Peter Attia's The Drive podcast.
There's some really small, really tenuous, I really want to emphasize that, evidence that perhaps after a workout might be better than before a workout. But I tell people, just take it whenever you'll take it regularly. So for me, I just get up in the morning and I take it.
Now that we know how much to take and when to take it, well, what kind of creatine should we take? There are so many different options. So many different types of creatine. It can be really confusing to choose which one to go with. Creatine monohydrate, creatine hydrochloride, creatine ethyl ester, buffered creatine or crealkaline, creatine magnesium chelate, liquid creatine, creatine phosphate. There are many different formulations, and some companies add different ingredients or flavorings and make different claims about the effectiveness of their creatine product. And let's not forget, different price points. So one thing that can help us cut through all this confusion is the understanding that creatine, regardless of what form it's in, does the exact same thing as any other form of creatine. It helps to elevate your levels of intracellular or intramuscular creatine. It's helpful to remember that after more than 20 years, plain old creatine monohydrate works just as well now as it did back then, and just as well as any other form of creatine. And guess what? It's also the most affordable. So if cost is factoring into your decision-making process, then creatine monohydrate is probably going to be your best option. Don't feel like you're settling or you're missing out and not getting the best. Creatine is creatine once it's all said and done. The one thing I will say about this is that some of the other formulations may be easier on the stomach. If you have a little bit of stomach discomfort when taking creatine, you might want to consider trying a buffered creatine and see if that's a little bit more tolerable.